Hello and welcome to the Sot Banat Voice of the Girl Child podcast. My name is Monica Iman, and on today's episode, the Sot Banat podcast is taking it a bit further by hosting our very first debate discussion where things will be more interesting and interactive, and I'll be moderating. The motion for today's debate is this House urges for the elimination of discriminatory practices and cultural norms that hinder girls' participation in decision making processes and for the promotion of gender sensitive policies and practices. A little context into today's topic. In South Sudan, discriminatory practices and patriarchal cultural norms limit girls' participation in decision making, including early and forced marriage, gender based violence, and limited access to education. This hinders their empowerment and full potential. South Sudanese communities, as we all know, are largely patriarchal, where men dominate social, cultural, and political decision making, relegating women and girls to domestic roles. Our debaters today will discuss how all these hinder girls' participation in decision making processes and whether or not they should be eliminated. Without further ado, allow me introduce you to our judges and our debaters. I'll start with the judges. Judge number one is Mr. August Malek Ayii. Judge number two is Mr. Manyok Philip Deng. And our third judge is Mr. Nyakangba Nelson Poyo. We have two debating teams. We have the Team White and Team Pink. The Team White are going to be proposing for this motion, while the Team Pink will be opposing the motion. On Team White, we have Ajok Ding. We also have Atoch Manyok Akwen, and we have Agnet Kirdeng. On the Team Pink, we have Acheng Ajok Manyang, we have Atong Gak Bol, and we have Mary Adut Mondit. Now, we are going to dive straight into the discussion, and we hope you all will love the discussion that's going to be happening here. And now, we would like to ask our judges to give our debaters their instructions.
Yeah, thank you, the moderator. I'm Malek August, the Chief Judge for today. I would like to welcome all the debaters and the audience in the building. Appreciate the people who organize such program. It's really quite interesting to see young ladies trying to speak on behalf of the voiceless, because there are other people that are facing their challenges out there, but they don't have such opportunities to speak to the media houses, to speak to organizations that normally take full responsibility to escalate ladies' voices. Would say feel home. It's the same debate that you have been having, the same format that you have been having, because most of you are familiar to me. I've been judging most of your debates, which is quite interesting, and I know you must be knowing the format. So we'll be having World School Debate. That's the debate we'll be going through. Always, you know that World School Debate, we always mark content, we mark style, and the strategy. These are the things that we mark in World School Debate, and we will be marking them today. And just know that we'll be having point of information where it's necessary, and it's also integrated with the judgment sheet. So just know that feel free, and the point of information, it's normally after 1 minute. After 1 minute, the first 1 minute, and then the last 1 minute, it's always there's no point of information. That's something you should know. So we'll be having standard timing, whereby We'll be having 8 minutes to the two first speakers, and then the two last speakers, you'll be having 6 minutes. So that is about what we are going to have tonight. Feel free, make sure, uh, avoid abusive word, finger pointing at your colleagues. These are some of the things that we normally panelize. So, and you know that it's debate. When it comes to debate, you know what you are debating. We are here to solve problems. We already have a problem, but we are trying to provide solutions. This is what we need, but not abuses. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Are there any other instructions for them?
Probably we're going to use a debate timer that is going to at least give you the alerts automatically. So there's no need of us stressing ourselves, maybe on watches. As a debater, you have that right to also time yourself. In case you have complaints later about timing, we are available to sort that out. Thank you.
Audibility check. You people are getting me? Okay. Before I start my speech, I would like to give my POI reference. Don't interrupt my speech. If you want to ask a POI, do not raise your hand or ask me. I will stop and pause in my speech. Then I will count up to 3 and ask you. If you're willing to give a POI, give after 3. Please don't interrupt my speech. With that being said, I will start my speech in 1, 2, and 3. Judges, today we are caught between two different worlds which have two different dimensions. Firstly, we see one that where women are being mistreated and seen as a normal thing in the world. It is being accepted by the society and being accepted by everyone. Then second world is one where that we are going to the developing world, the digital world, where women are given rights and given equal rights as men, equal pays, and so on and so forth. Thus, we are so proud to affirm today's motion. Before I go any further, a few key clarifications to start the stage. Firstly, what are discriminatory practices that we are talking about in today's motion? What do these practices look like? First of all, these are practices, actions, or policies or behaviors that tend to treat people unfairly. They are usually based on characteristics such as race, gender, religion, disability, and so on and so forth. And we do not support such thinking in our society going on from now. Then some examples that we look at and we see today, we have hiring bias. Women and men are not given the same treatment when it comes to job. You're not hired for a specific job just because you're a woman, and then a man is given a certain job just because he's a man. So this is hiring bias. Second, we see that there's gender discrimination and pay gap. If you have a certain job, sometimes you might not be paid exactly your amount due to your gender. For example, if you're working in the same job with a woman might be given more money just for the interest of the sex that she's a female, and then a man will be given less money. This is something bad. Then there's social coercion among men. This one is very, very common in South Sudanese, in South Sudanese cultures. Firstly, we see that men have a right to force a woman to have sex with them whenever they want, as long as has married the woman, and which is very bad. Then we have child marriage, and then less access to education, which is very, very common amongst young girls and teenagers in South Sudan today. Move on further to see that men are also expected to be so aggressive, strong, and bold, whereas women are supposed to be weak and polite towards when talking to men. These are very, very bad practices and cultural norms that are ongoing in our societies and in our country, and we do not wish to continue with this anymore. Firstly, when we look at the world today, we are developing, and what we are targeting here is the young generation. Not that team negators are going to come and tell us that, oh, please, these people are already old and they might be ignorant to take up new stuff. Okay, they might be ignorant. Even if we hold advocates, we are looking at the young generation. If we integrate such activities such as gender equality and involving women in decision making, this will enable the young generation, the men who are upcoming, to understand that women have equal rights and they have abilities to lead the country, abilities to rule, abilities to become better versions of themselves, and not just subjecting them to early marriages and so on and so forth. Now, what is our mechanism here? How are we going to achieve this on our side of the house, and how are we going to eliminate such activities? We are going to work together with the government in hand with the AU to provide legal reforms, entities, and policies that help women to get involved in political activities such as decision making, leading the country, and so on and so forth. What policies might support this argument or what policies might come in hand. When there's a program being held, women and men both should be allowed to participate. For example, if we are advocating for peace talks and so on and so forth, women should be also sat at the table with the men to give their voices, just like the men are giving their voices. This is one. Then again, we see the education. That means that we should integrate such activities such as letting women take leadership positions in the country and so on and so forth in schools. For example, citizenship is trying to do this, and we wanted to do it more fully, even if introducing a new subject, as long as the government is the one providing the incentives to do all this stuff so that women can be able to access education, avoid early marriages. And then again, if the government provides policies such as no early marriages, or maybe putting a law and act that no child marriage, this will enable people to understand that if you violate the law and get your child married at such a young age, you will be accountable for it and you might be taken to prison. That's why we want the government to get involved to stop such practices. Then again, we have campaigns and peace talks and counseling. These campaigns, such as one we are doing right now, the debate, where girls are given the right to raise their voices, where we are holding peace, the workshops for girls to talk about what is disturbing the challenges that they are facing and how they better address them. Then also going to cities, areas and areas to counsel girls on why they should get involved in leadership skills, in leadership practices, and so on and so forth. Now, why do we think that these practices are very, very bad, and why do we want to eliminate them? I'll tell you that, and that's where my first point of argument comes on. Before I go on, team negators might come and say that women are very emotional and might not be able to address the challenges that are going on in the country. For a fact that they're emotional, they'll be able to better understand what others need more than the men can understand, because men usually tend not to be so emotional understanding due to lack of emotionality. Then again, they might say it's very difficult and expensive to achieve. Yes, indeed, it's very difficult and expensive to achieve, but remember, it is worth it. If we do achieve in the long run that girls are involved in the political activities, involved in leading the country and so on and so forth, it will be worth investing in. And besides, we stated in my first speech that the government will be involved to provide these activities, counseling programs and so on and so forth. So the government, in other words, is the one funding it. So even if it's expensive, we have a sure deal that the government is still funding. Then again, it's the team negators might say it can change the culture and cause conflicts. Okay, fine. It's going to change a bit of cultural activities. But do you want a world where the women are being mistreated daily? Do you want a world where women are not given the right to raise their voices, where women are subjected to men and looked upon like they do not own anything or they do not have a right to speak up for themselves? This is the world that Team Negators is advocating for. Ladies and gentlemen, just for the fact that there is a narrative that girls should get educated, girls should go to school, girls should be successful, and they are not given the right to become successful, it makes it very difficult to achieve such things on their side of the house. Because as a man, I can still go bring my daughter out from school, even if she's done with senior 4, make her marry a man, because there is no law against it that states that girls should not get married at a young age. And that's why I want to eliminate such norms completely. And now moving on to my first point of argument, which is these practices are very bad for personal growth of girls and everyone as a whole. I'll talk about 3 analyses here and 3 layers under it. One, we have that notice this limits girls' participation in political affairs. Why do we say this? Because girls are not allowed to raise their voices in the public places and given the chance to go to the level where the men are. Just because Nyandeng was a vice president doesn't make it right for other girls not to come up into the political spheres. Just because the president just because 30% of the girls are being educated and being given some rights to the point, doesn't mean that the 70% of the girls should not get education and should not come up with the point. Then again, it promotes gender discrimination a lot, and in institutions of personal growth and development. For example, when it hinders girls from going to school, how do we see this? Fathers or parents might stop their daughters from going to school because they are girls and then take boys to school instead. This is gender discrimination, because girls will not get access to schools and might not be able to develop themselves personally or grow pursuing their career and so on and so forth. For example, when the one family, sorry, can you add me 15 seconds? One family where a girl and a boy were born, The parents had to take the boy to school, and they said a girl will not be able to pay back anything in the long run just because she's a girl. That was gender discrimination, and we expect everyone to have access to education and fair life and competitive world. Thank you.
I feel like that deserves a clap. Can we give her a clap? Round of applause, please. Okay, without wasting more time, Team Pink, are we ready? Okay, come present your point.
It is not realistic to expect that all cultural norms can be changed overnight. Acknowledging and respecting diversity is very important in any multicultural society. Greetings to the house at large. I am Acheng Pajok Manyang. Here before you, arguing against the resolution that says this House argues for the elimination of discriminatory practices and cultural norms that hinder girls' participation in decision-making process and for the promotion of gender-sensitive policies and practices. Well, allow me first define the key terms of this resolution. Elimination is to remove something. Discriminatory practices refers to the treating of individuals or groups unfairly based on characteristics like disabilities, gender, religion. Our culture norms are the written, often unspoken roles and expectations that guide behavior and beliefs within a specific culture, shaping how people should interact with each other. Gender policy refers to the modern political policy that aims to promote and protect human rights in the society. Members of the August House, this resolution is suggesting that girls should participate in decision-making process for the promotion of gender-sensitive policies in the society. However, we the team negators do not agree with this simply because currently in South Sudan, women are already having the voices to express themselves in organizations like GATE, UNICEF, and Chagai Foundation. Right now, as you personal by yourself, you went through education and right now you have that voice to express yourself and present yourself in public. Obvious, you can manage to come and say the things that are challenging you rather than going to participate in decision makings. That's not the only solution. That's why we, the team negators, are proposing a team case that says building matrix-based system is a more immediate solution for the decision making, such as choosing based on experience, capabilities, and skills, than basing on a particular gender that may cause such impact, such as disruption of current system and social incomes. Dear members, she talked of young generation, promoting the young generation. But right now in South Sudan, the Gates organization went to schools and provide the young girls with things like always for them to continue with their studies. Now, as you go through education, you as a girl, you can manage to present yourself rather than participating in decision making. She also talked of women should be given rights in our country. Yes, in South Sudan, majority of the women are not given rights simply because most people in our country neglect this organization that helps these young girls in schools or help others like the locally they advocate for the public speaking in societies that may make the young girls have that voice and express themselves. As she also talked of women are mistreated currently in South Sudan. Women are not mistreated like the men. Most men, like, let me talk of the street boys. Street boys are just there at the street, knowing that no organization is focusing on the street boy. Right now, the team of farmers are basing only on one gender. That's the basing only on the girls' gender, leaving the boys' gender. Right now, boys are many at the street side, just seated there, but no organization is helping them. She talked of girls not allowed, the 30% and 30%. Honorable, not allowed. Honorable, how sure are you that only 30% are accepted in the country? Do you have the statistics clearly? Obvious, no. You didn't show us the statistics. She also said that it hindered girls from going to school. That's really, I have to say that Me personally, I'm at school, and when I came to South Sudan, the organization that helps people, let me say the guest organization helps people, not allowed, helps the girls, provide them with things, and so that it gives girls the morale. Even parents are even very happy for this organization because it helps the girls to present themselves and have education. It's not only through participating in decision making. Honorable, I didn't say because I'm at school. Obviously, you say 30%. Then I was asking you, how sure are you that 30%? Obvious, this there are no girls that are not going to school. Maybe expect the village girls, but when they come here, I'm quite sure they are going to join school. To take you through my points, I would like to talk of cultural norms. Many cultures have traditional norms that shape gender dynamics. What do I mean by gender dynamics? Like a culture may have a specific role for girls or boys in their specific culture. So, and when the government or the government, I mean, when the government is to come out with a policy that every girl or every woman should participate in decision making in our country, how will the other cultures feel? Obvious, they're undermining their cultures. They're undermining their cultures. They're not respecting the other cultures, meaning that they came up with their policies trying to say everyone should participate in decision making. This might cause this might cause conflicts between the culture and the society. So my team are farmers. How would you feel like such a thing to happen in our country? Obvious, we have to respect our cultural norms and make it clear here. To talk about individual choices, not all girls may desire to participate in decision making roles. Respecting individual choices is very important. Yes, the team of farmers might come here and talk of we are not forcing, but when the country is to make a policy, Honorable, you are not allowed. When the country is to make a policy that each and every woman is allowed to participate in decision making, obvious others cannot have that willingness, maybe, or the desire to participate in this thing. But then the community autonomy, not allowed, Honorable. The community autonomy. Let me be like in a community, there are obvious the elders and the local members. That community autonomy may force the participation of girls in the area, ignoring the local autonomy in our country. My team are farmers. Why would you want such a thing to happen in our country? Thanks for the warning. My second speaker, Atong Margaret, will come and talk of overemphasis on gender, economic implications, and complexity of gender issues. My third speaker, Mary Adu, should talk of lack of universal aspects. Thank you very much for the attention.
Okay, I'm liking where this discussion is going. Let's keep it like that with respect for one another. Now, Team White, can we have your member please come present their points? Well, human rights are women's rights, and women's rights are human rights. Thank you, the moderator, for the golden opportunity. My sincere greeting goes to the panel of judges, the clerk, our farmers, and the negators, plus you, the house at large. I'm Atoy Manyok, the second speaker from the affirmative side, here to approve of tonight's controversial debate, which states, this house urges for the elimination of discriminatory practices and cultural norms that hinder girls' participation in decision-making processes for the promotion of gender-sensitive policies and practices. Ladies and gentlemen, as a second speaker, I am here to rebut, build more on our case, and wind up my case. To begin with, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to make some corrections on this. A speech being given by the first negator. The first negator in her quad, she said that we cannot change a cultural norms overnight. Ladies and gentlemen, we didn't say that we shall change them overnight. But as we work into it, we shall change it after some times. And for that, that's the reason why we are here. We are participating for today, say that we correct them, and later on, time passes, we shall change the norms. Not allowed, please. And also, she said 30% that
What percentage are you having in the government? Ladies and gentlemen, this is a pure fact. When you see the government, in the side of the politics, only few ladies are in the politics, ladies and gentlemen. When you see the president, the vice president, followed by a man, and where is a lady? Ladies and gentlemen, there should be a man following. When we train ladies, we train everyone, because we are talking of gender. When we train everyone, there will be experience, and when they experience, they should be given opportunities to participate. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to dive into my perspective arguments. My first point of view is empowerment and development. Ladies and gentlemen, they are interconnected concepts that plays a crucial role in improving lives and individuals and communities. Empowerment is a process of gaining, not allowed please, is the process of gaining strength, confidence, and control over one's life. It involves enabling individuals to make choices, take actions, and influences decisions that affects their life. Empowerment can be in three ways, ladies and gentlemen: social empowerment, economic empowerment, political empowerment, or the personal empowerment. And I would like to dive into one of each. When I talk of social empowerment, ladies and gentlemen, it involves increasing access to resources and opportunities for marginalized groups such as education, healthcare, and employment. Ladies and gentlemen, when I talk of here, the resources and the opportunities, they should be divided equally for the both boys and the girls, women's and men. This is what I'm meaning here. When I talk of the economic empowerment, it focuses on providing individuals with the skill, resources, opportunities to improve their economic status, such as through job trainings, financial literacy, and access to credit. Like, for example, not allowed, you're interrupting my speech. Like, for example, when there is a job and people need to be trained, they should take one boy and also they should take a girl, such that our country will be equalized. And if we do so, we shall promote gender equality in the country. And that's the main reason we are aiming for that right now as Team Affirmative. Also, when I talk of political empowerment, ladies and gentlemen, it ensures individuals to have voice in decision-making processes and governments, often through participating in election, policy making, and leadership roles. Ladies and gentlemen, when you come to South Sudan, you will only see few women that are participating in the politics, ladies and gentlemen. But it is not right for few women to be in the politics, and later when you see the majority of them are men, which is not good. So we need it to be equalized 50-50, because a man cannot be a man without a woman, and a woman cannot be a woman without a man. So we should equalize them and make them 50-50. So in this case, we should equalize women's and men's to be 50-50, and that's what we are aiming for. When I talk of personal empowerment, ladies and gentlemen, it involves building self-esteem, confidence, and ability to make informed decisions about one's life. Like, for example, right now I'm a debater, and also I chose to be a debater because I have the confidence, I want to build myself, I have the ability to make my own decision. Not allowed. To make my own decision. And that's the main reason why I came here to participate, because I have a personal empowerment. Also, to continue, I would like to talk of development. Development refers to the process of improving the quality of life and economic well-being of people. Ladies and gentlemen, when I talk of human development, is a concept that focuses on improving the quality of life, expanding opportunities and individuals to reach their potential. Ladies and gentlemen, when we give both boys and girls the opportunities, we train them, take them to schools, and make them equal, they will reach their full potential. Like, for example, someone can have uncovered potential, but when you give them the opportunities to go and participate, like what I'm doing right now, they will reach their full potential. And that's what we are wanting as Team Affirmative, to give everyone equal rights. Not allowed. To give everyone equal right, and also to make their own choices. Like, for example, ladies and gentlemen, like now, you are a mother and you have a daughter, and your daughter, she's maybe 15 years old, and a man comes and say that I want to marry your daughter, your husband will say yes, they want to give your daughter for a marriage. But as a woman, you feel so bad because she's still young. You will want to talk, but due to the cultural norms, they will say no, you don't have the voice. Why don't you have the voice, yet she's your daughter? You guys gave birth to her, both of you, so you have the same right as your man do. That is the main reason why we are here, to rectify for thank you for your warning. And that's the main reason we are here, to fight for our right. And also choices in participate in the society. When women are given the chances to participate in the society will grow. They said, educate a girl and you educate the whole nation. Ladies and gentlemen, if I'm educated, I will have a job, and later when I have a job, I will back up my society, my home, and later on the whole nation. So women are supposed to be empowered, given opportunities as the men, and also they should be equal. We are fighting for gender equality in South Sudan. For this, I beg to rest my case. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Celebration doesn't happen overnight. It requires understanding, patience, and gradual evolution. What do I mean here? I am trying to say that when we come up with what the performers are saying, elimination and all that, it needs time for it to work out. It needs understanding and patience. Today, I am debating the motion that says this House argues for elimination of discriminatory practices that hinder girls' participation in decision-making processes and for the promotion of gender-sensitive policies and practices. While the pursuit of gender equality is vital, we must consider that disrupting the current social customs and traditions or legal aspects made to society are unrest, tensions and confusions, undermining the cohesion that is. Ladies and gentlemen, our team came up with a template that says that we propose building merit-based systems is a more immediate solution for decision-making roles rather than stressing on gender, which comes with negative consequences. Ladies and gentlemen, when we offer stress on gender, especially on one gender, we shall have so many differences in the future. Ladies and gentlemen, we can now see around the street in the 15 years to come. How will it be? Don't you think that the boys will be neglected and left behind? Remember the gender on the streets right now, the girls and all that at the male gender. Ladies and gentlemen, you brought a policy that you will talk with the government and all that. I assume and I think you are the government yourself. And how vital are the ways that the existing laws are sufficient and further reforms may lead to bureaucratic complications and unintended consequences. You will start regretting later that you're having negative consequences in our societies because we are trying to eliminate these factors before we sit down and understand what will come later. Ladies and gentlemen, one of the speakers, the second speaker, spoke of to enhance girls speaking and raise their voices, but not decision making, which will later come with negative consequences.
Are you aware that because of education,
she understood she has rights because each and everyone, both males and the females, are having rights already to go to school. But it is not because of decision making that she's able to be here, but it is exactly because she came to school, which is a right for everyone currently in South Sudan, not allowed. Ladies and gentlemen, that abrupt shift. Ladies and gentlemen, you've been complaining. The affirmers have been complaining about cultural norms, and we see cultural norms, they stabilize some societies in South Sudan. And when you come up with issues that deals with elimination, don't you think that there will be society tensions here? Ladies and gentlemen, let us see the bigger picture.
How do the street boys contradict the motion?
They contradict in a way that you people are stressing so much on girls and leaving the other gender. So let us Ladies and gentlemen, I will start with my first point of argument. We have overemphasis on gender. Critics may argue that focusing too much on gender can create divisions and overlook other important factors such as merit, skills, and experience in decisions. Promised to give us time for questions, but she didn't. I don't know what happened there, but we had a lot of concerns to raise. Ladies and gentlemen, let's start. Okay, so I'm obliged to stay neutral, so I have to decide for myself. I love to see the power girls have. These are young girls speaking on important issues. So, Team White, please bring out your final speech.
Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. I am against this eliminating space resolution that states, affirming today's resolution that states, this House asks for the elimination of discriminatory practices and cultural norms that hinder girls' participation in decision-making processes for the promotion of gender-sensitive policies and practices. Expect three things from me: to review, refute, and weigh the motion. To review what my farmers talked about, my first speaker came on stage and she talked about marriage, early child marriage, among others. They lead to negative self-image, increased stress and anxiety among individuals, reduced life sophistication and isolation of individuals. My second speaker talked about human civilization or development in general. Linking into the motion, there are a lot of effects in hindering girls' participation because it increases the poverty, it increases insecurity in the country, political instability, hunger, and trauma among citizens. To refute what the other people talked about, that's the debating side, the first speaker came on stage and she talked about the strategy as a team of farmers together with the government of South Sudan and the African Union implement policies that would ease the rapid eating and eliminate discriminatory practices without conflicting with the culture through the following, that includes community engagement, education and awareness, legislative framework, economic opportunities, monitoring and evolution. And not only that, we are going to have gradual change each and every time to, by the end of the day, ease and implement God's process in decision making. Conclusively, we realize the importance of our voices only when we are silent, meaning every voice matters in the fight for justice, economic, and sustainable development. I beg to rest our case.
Practices and cultural norms that hinder girls' participation, decision-making processes, and for the promotion of gender-sensitive policies and practices. Well, begin on what the last speaker from the affirmative side said, that that boys, that we are advocating for boys to be given the chance and that boys are now ahead of girls. We did say that we simply wanted boys and girls to be equal, like gender equality. So you should take note of that. To start with the refuting of the speaker's point, the first speaker from the affirmative side said that we should engage in suffering, sickness and other stuff. Climate change. Allow it.
And do you think there is planning because they are not equal decision making? It's only one side that makes decision.
I don't think so. Why? Because decision making, first of all, it doesn't concern the flooding. These are natural things that happen. Well, what I'm trying to say here is that the finances that you were wanting the government to use for funding, don't you think that it's kind of a long-term process implementing a policy? Besides, we have a lot of things that are very important right now. So instead of focusing on the very important things, I think that implementing the policy is going to be a long-term change or a long-term effect. But no, it's because they have the qualifications to put them there. So in case you have a qualification to put you in a place that you're supposed to be, then nobody will not allow you to be in that place. Well, to begin with supporting my fellow opposers' points, the first speaker, Honorable Achel, spoke of preservation of cultural roots. And to add on to that, for example, in some cultures, the decision-making roles, these have been historically long ago, they have been reserved for men. So, and changing this dynamic may be, like, it may seem challenging, because now you cannot just go to the villages and be like, women should, we are being refused to our rights, all the rights to go to school and stuff, but then these cultures are things that have been long ago, and we cannot just come and change them. She also talked of individual choices. Yeah, I may have the right to be here today, and it's not, this is already enough. If you can get access to go to school, healthcare, and other stuff, then there's nothing that you are lacking. Instead of just focusing on pushing all genders together for a world to be a better place, I don't think we should bring up something that will contradict the system that we already have. Second speaker, Honorable that, for example, this can lead to situations where individuals are selected for both best primary and gender than qualifications, as I just said before. Then, complexity of gender issues. To add on to that, gender issues are deeply intertwined with cultural, social, and economic factors. So it's just better we focus on equality for all instead of focusing on one. Even the women themselves, they are comfortable in their comfort zone. They are not complaining. They are comfortable. It's not that they are mistreating them or they are dying because they are not included in decision-making processes. No. So, to also continue, the potential for reverse discrimination. For example, promoting these gender-sensitive policies could lead to reverse discrimination against men, potentially, and disadvantaging them in areas such as education and employment. This is just to take a simple example. In my school, when I was at school, like a lot of organizations now are focusing on girls, women, and stuff. So you find at times when I was in school, you find that in our school, boys are more than the girls. And sometimes you ask yourself, why is that so? You find the boys complaining sometimes because most of them don't come to school at times, they come like 2 times. But what do you think will happen if we now focus on girls alone and leave the boys behind? Don't you think that the same thing will happen in 15 to 20 years to come, whereby you find that women are the ones leading and men are now home, which is unfair for the other sex. So we should instead promote gender equality. To summarize all of our points, as the first speaker spoke of preservation of cultural norms, individual choices, the second speaker spoke of economic implications, overemphasis on gender, complexity of gender issues, and I, as the last speaker, spoke of lack of universal acceptance and potential for reverse discrimination. In conclusion, I'd like to conclude by saying new forms of inequality in the process. What I simply mean here is that when we're trying to promote gender-sensitive issues, we should instead focus on equality for all. Thank you.
Immediately. Remember that if we come up with things concerning elimination and all that, it will take us some good years, it will take long periods of time for them to be addressed. Ladies and gentlemen,